There was this boy in one of the classes that I was in. He was like 4 or 5 or something. He kept saying he loved me, and I got huge butterflies. I got huge. I was so devastated that he was calling me a poopy head. I was so sad. I was like, he doesn't like me anymore.
Every now and then, something slips through the noise online. Not loud at first, just wrong in a way that makes you stop because it doesn't look like what you expect. No big following or trail of past controversies to piece together, just a person who showed up one day and said something you can't unhear.
My child versions of myself that was having a crush on this boy.
The woman in those clips is a former childcare worker, a mother to a 4-year-old boy, saying the most crazy things you've probably heard in a while. She admitted she was attracted to children. She described her own son like he was the one crossing a line. She framed herself as the one affected. And after all of that, nothing happened. Shockingly, there was no clear investigation, no public action, no answers. Just a video that spread and became the internet's next hot meal, and a child at the center of it with no one confirming what came next. In March 2026, a woman in Western Australia posted a 21-minute video on TikTok, and it wasn't the kind of video you scroll past and forget. It was the kind you sit through, then pause, because you're trying to process what you just heard. Because this wasn't messy drama or someone getting exposed, this was her sitting down and saying everything herself, calmly, willingly. No one dragged it out of her, no one forced a confession. She chose to put it out there. From what we were able to find, her name was Akra Harding, 27 years old, living in Northam, a quiet town just outside Perth. The kind of place you wouldn't expect something like this to come from, let alone be said out loud on camera like it was nothing. And that's what made it hit differently, because nothing about this was accidental. She wasn't caught, she didn't slip up, she decided to explain it in her own words, knowing people would hear it.
Triggering for people? It will. It will. Okay.
She opened with a warning, but it didn't feel like one. There was a small, creepy laugh in there, the kind that didn't match what she was about to say. She didn't explain what was coming, didn't give any real context. She just circled it instead, like she was easing herself into something she'd already decided she would say.
But I know that, like, saying it publicly, there's gonna be, like, backlash. And I'm like, that's only because people don't understand. And I'm like, well, I can explain from my perspective, and some people are gonna get it and some people are not.
She then goes on to frame disagreement in advance as ignorance. If people reject it, it isn't because of what she said, it's because they didn't understand it.
Everyone in my life knows about it because I'm compulsively honest.
She began by breaking down the difference between a pedophile and a child offender. One is attraction, one is action. It sounded like she was laying out something factual before anything else.
So, when you hear that word, if your mind automatically jumps to offender, that is not the same thing. Okay, and let me just explain what I mean by that. Technically, if you get down to it, we're talking about the meaning of words here, and the definition of a pedophile is someone who has an attraction to children, but and I suppose because there's not that much like clarification around the fact that there's different attraction. There's like love attraction.
But it didn't come across as neutral. It felt like she was drawing a line so she could stand just far enough away from what she was about to admit. And then she stepped right over it.
I think I realized that the definition, I'm pretty sure, I think is just like an exclusive attraction to children. Well, I want to sleep with some dude in his 60s. Like, age isn't a thing for me. In either direction.
Saying age isn't a thing for her wasn't her narrowing anything, it removed the boundary completely, because once age stops mattering, there's nothing left separating adults from children. They fall into the same range. Over the next few minutes, she started going back through her life in a way that slowly began to connect. At 17, she said she was in a childcare course around young kids every day, and that's where she described it starting. She said she developed huge butterflies for a boy who was about 4 or 5 years old. Mind you, this was not a passing thought or something she dismissed immediately. She described it like a real emotional reaction that she felt, sat with, and responded to.
When I was 17, I started doing this course. It was a childcare course. It was a childcare course. So I did that. I did all of the theory stuff. It was super fucking easy. It was all really easy. And then when it came time to do prac, I went to go do when I went to prac, there was this boy in one of the classes that I was in. He was like 4 or 5 or something. He kept saying he loved me, and I got huge butterflies. I got huge butterflies when I saw him, and I wasn't coping at all with the fact that I was having these feelings. It was fucking with my head so much. I was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What does this mean? What does this mean about me? What is this? What's gonna happen? Like, what do you mean?
She even said she felt hurt when he called her a poopy head and left the course after.
I came in to work so excited to see him, but that day he called me a poopy head, and I cried so hard.
Later, she went back into the same kind of setting. She enrolled in a teacher's aid program working with children around 5 or 6, and again, she left, not because something had already happened, but because she believed it might, because she said she was afraid she would develop feelings. That video didn't sit quietly for long. It spread really fast, of course, obviously with the kind of content it contained, and the reaction followed just as quickly. Commentary channels covered it.
I hope that this person is being investigated. I hope that this person gets the help that they need. And I hope that this person's child is safe and taken care of, because this is extremely scary.
This video is about this viral 20-minute video that she put out, which, like, no one asked for. You can see from the caption, sensitive topic, attraction to children. I have no idea why she thought it would be a good idea to put this out. And you'll know what I mean when the video starts playing and she starts going on about some shit.
Even parents shared it as a warning.
All I'm gonna say is protect your children, man. I have a beautiful young daughter, man, and it's sad that while I'm out here doing what I gotta do, I have to worry, you know what I'm saying? We're all trying to make things happen.
But that wasn't where it stopped. As the video went on, she kept adding more. Each part made the last one sit heavier. People weren't reacting for no reason. It kept getting worse the longer she spoke. At some point after all that, she became a mother. She had a son who was 4 years old, and that detail stood out immediately, because 4 was the same age range she had already talked about. The boy from the childcare course was 4 or 5. That's where she said it started. Now, years later, she wasn't in a placement anymore. She was at home, living with a child in that same age range every single day. It's the same setting, but just closer.
My son has been really creepy with me lately.
Note, that's the word she chose. Creepy. Not confusing, which would be even more appropriate in this sense. Creepy. A word that suggests the person doing it knows what they're doing and means it. And here she applied that to her 4-year-old.
Like, he tries to watch me get dressed or whatever. If he catches me, he will mention my boobs.
This part is where it starts to feel off, because at that age, kids are curious, they notice bodies, they say things without understanding what any of it means, there's no intent behind it, it's not misbehavior, it's just development. That's exactly what being 4 looks like. And moments like that don't trigger panic, they get handled carefully. In this case, a parent sets boundaries, explains privacy, keeps it simple and calm. That's how it's supposed to go. But in Akra's world, we're guessing stuff like that doesn't exist. But after saying that, she went even further and said this.
He walked up to me and he just like reached up and was about to just fucking double me. And
Not he reached for me, or he tried to touch me, or even it made me uncomfortable. She said grope. This woman went on to use the word you use when you're describing an adult deliberately violating someone. Now, the thing is, language doesn't come from nowhere. The words people reach for in unscripted moments reflect how they've already framed something internally, and she's already framed her son's behavior in those terms before she ever even sat down in front of that camera. But when you think that's the worst word she could have used, she even dug deeper by saying her son traumatized her by trying to lift her shirt.
I feel like I'm being traumatized by my son trying to lift up my shirt. And
the way toddlers do constantly, without any understanding of why it might matter, because they want attention or they think it's funny or they're just doing what toddlers do. And she sat with that framing. What that framing does is shift the dynamic entirely. It makes her the person something is being done to, more like the victim. And then it makes her son the source of harm. And once that's the lens, everything he does gets read through it.
And he didn't feel like him anymore. And he felt like someone was controlling him. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
But this is where the explanation changed, because up to this point, she had been describing her son's behavior as something she was reacting to. But then she moved into what was causing it, and what she landed on was even more disturbing.
Using all this dark magic or something, and trying to twist everything against me, and doing these rituals and stuff, and trying to like put cursed items and stuff in with all of my belongings because it was at the house that she was in.
Now, this is where you actually start wondering, what is really wrong with this person? Because this absolutely makes no sense. Her deceased sister controlling her 4-year-old son from beyond, sending him to her, using him as a vehicle for something targeted specifically at her. It's worth thinking about what this explanation actually accomplishes, because it does something very specific. If her son is possessed, he isn't her son in those moments. He's a vessel. He isn't a 4-year-old being a 4-year-old, but something else wearing her son's face. This is very scary.
Some dude in his 60s. Like, age isn't a thing for me in either direction. But, in saying that, let me explain how I figured out all of this, okay? Don't hate me yet. Finish the video, okay? Fuck. Alright, so when I was 17,
A 4-year-old whispering something while playing, and she heard it as confirmation, as evidence that what she already believed was real. The possession explanation wasn't something she arrived at reluctantly, it was something she was already reaching toward, and when a moment came that she could attach it to, she did.
That's the opposite kind of child. Now I feel traumatized.
Her son had no idea any of this was being said about him. No way of knowing that millions of people would eventually hear it, or that parts of that same video would frame him as the source of harm inside his own home. He was 4. That's where it ends for him. Everything beyond that sits completely outside his world. And that gap matters. Not just what it was said, but that it was said in a space he'll never even know existed. She then spoke about a scenario involving minors and said she had tried to convince herself that if anything inappropriate ever happened, it would only be in a situation where the minor initiated it, insisted on it, and clearly understood what they wanted. She didn't present it as a slip of thought, she described it as something she had worked through internally over time, a position she had already formed before saying it out loud. In that way, responsibility shifted away from her and onto the child in the scenario. The idea was that the minor would be the one approaching, the one insisting, the one driving intent. That kind of framing doesn't appear in passing, it reflects a way of organizing the situation in her mind before it ever reached the camera. Later in the video, she said she realized that thinking was wrong and that she would not feel comfortable in that kind of situation, but the reason she gave for that shift didn't come from outside correction or professional input. She said it changed because of her son, because his behavior made her uncomfortable. Acro went on and said it took her a few years to understand that the feelings she had at 17 belonged to a child alter, a younger version of herself inside her, not the part of her that knew better. This goes to say dissociative identity disorder is real. It's a documented diagnosis with real clinical weight, rooted in trauma, and the people who live with it deserve proper care and support. None of that is in question. What's in question is how it's being used here. Because the argument she's making is that the part of her that had those feelings wasn't the part of her that's accountable for them. That responsibility can be divided between alters, and the one that felt something inappropriate was a child version of herself, not an adult one, and therefore the adult standing in front of the camera is a step removed from what happened.
Does that mean that there's a 17-year-old in me who feels that way, where technically a 17-year-old is still a kid, but no.
She even extended that logic and said that if the alter was 17, then technically that was still a child. So maybe the feelings themselves were age appropriate just between the wrong people. Now, what happened after all the attention Acra got from this little ruckus she caused? A few days later, the video was gone. Not long after that, the account tied to it was set to private. No explanation came with it, no statement or clarification, nothing that addressed why it disappeared or what had happened behind the scenes. By that point, the video had spread so widely that it wasn't even clear if the account people were finding was hers anymore. When something goes that viral, copies show up. Re-uploads, impersonation accounts, people trying to attach themselves to the moment. So even that detail got blurry. The original video was gone, the account was locked, and what people were left with were clips and a lot of uncertainty about what was real and what wasn't. For all the attention the video got and all the people calling for someone to step in, there wasn't anything concrete that followed. No confirmed investigation, not even a clear involvement from Child Protection Services, no police report that anyone could point to, nothing that showed action had been taken. What remained was the video itself, the reactions it triggered, and a situation people couldn't verify beyond what had already been seen. And at the center of it, a 4-year-old boy whose situation hadn't been clarified at all. So where is he? Was he safe? Did anyone step in? There were no clear answers to any of that, because what happened next didn't focus on a follow-through. All it did was focus on removal. The video disappeared, the account went private, and the situation faded out of view. And that creates a gap. Platforms handle content. They take things down, limit access, move on, but removing a video doesn't resolve what was shown in it. It doesn't confirm whether anyone checked or what happened after. It just means the public can't see it anymore. If you only look at that video, it feels sudden, like everything just spilled out at once, but it wasn't sudden. What she said there had been building for years, and when you trace it back, the pattern's clear. She kept putting herself back in the same environments around children again and again. We tried to look deeper into who she was after that video surfaced. There wasn't much to find. No strong online presence or trail of content. Hardly any photos of her anywhere. It felt like searching for someone who never really existed online in the first place. Her Facebook account was locked. No new posts or public activity. Everything pulled back. It looked like someone who understood what they had put out there and chose to shut the door before people could start digging any further. For most people watching, that video might end up being the only real glimpse they even got of her. Background checks sound like protection. In practice, they only confirm one thing: whether someone has already been caught. If nothing's been reported, nothing shows up. If something happened somewhere and the records don't reach, nothing shows up. If it's a first offense or something that never is made into a system, nothing shows up. The result looks clean even when it isn't, because a background check doesn't look at intent, patterns, or see what someone has admitted to or what they've been circling around for years. It only reflects what's been written down, filed, and processed. And in her case, there was nothing on paper. She had recognized something was wrong when she was younger. Stepped away from one environment, then later placed herself back into another. Stepped away again without any reports or record of it. So on paper, she stayed invisible. If she had applied to work around children before that video spread and anyone started paying attention, the system would have treated her like anyone else. Cleared, approved, no flags. Not because nothing was there, but because nothing had been formally captured. And when the video did surface, it didn't move into any system either. It spread, it got attention, then it disappeared. TikTok removed it from view, and with that, removed the only thing that might have triggered a formal response. By the time you reached the end of that video, it didn't feel scattered anymore. It lined up. She had access. Not once, but twice. 2 different childcare settings. Children in the same age range she later talked about. She went back after recognizing something was wrong the first time. Not years later with distance and intervention. She went back carrying the same issue she had already identified. She described her own boundaries slipping. Not in vague terms, directly. Feelings she should not have had. Reactions she did not question deeply enough to stop herself from returning. And through all of it, there was no point where she brought in anyone equipped to deal with that. No therapist, counselor, or outside intervention. Just her thoughts, and the decision to keep placing herself in the same environments. Every time the weight of what she said started to settle, she shifted it to misunderstanding, circumstances, or to something external.
The knowledge that I feel that attraction that I sometimes just can't control, and it fucks with my head knowing that I can't act on it, and apparently I don't want to. I definitely know I don't want to with my own children. That's the thing. Because I've been traumatized by the mere notion of it. it's really hard to know that that's just what happens in your brain naturally, and people hate you for it, and you can't help it, and you don't even like it. And
So there's this clip. A mom gives her toddler a donut for breakfast. Somehow, that one clip ended up being the thing that pulled back the curtain on one of the messiest situations we've seen on this side of the internet in a while. We're talking maggots in the stove, roaches in the bathtub, a daughter going on a live stream and accusing her mom of slapping her in the face, a boyfriend who called CPS and accused her of sexually assaulting her own child, and a mom who responded to basically all of it by going live and somehow making every single situation worse. This is the Donut Mom story, and it is a lot. Donut Mom is a TikTok content creator who posts about her life, her kids, and day-to-day stuff. Her name came from a specific clip that went viral of her giving her toddler a donut for breakfast. Pretty innocent on its face. It's a donut. Kids eat donuts. This is not a news story on its own. The internet predictably had feelings about it. Some people thought it was funny, some people thought it was irresponsible parenting. The debate went the way these debates always go, with parenting forums picking it up and turning it into a referendum on food shaming. A Motherly article ran the angle that other moms were rallying to her defense, arguing that one donut does not make someone a bad parent and that judging women for what they feed their kids is its own problem. That argument's not wrong. One donut is not a crisis. If this story ended there, there's nothing to talk about. She gives her kid a donut. The internet argues about it for 8 days. Everyone moves on. But the donut made people look, and looking is where this whole thing came apart.
Okay, that's my dog.
Okay.
This is my living room.
Okay. This is your authentic living room.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I didn't clean it all today. I wanted you to see what it looks like on a daily basis.
People started paying closer attention to her content. The first thing they noticed was the background, the state of the house visible in her videos and streams. At first, you can give it the benefit of the doubt. She has multiple kids. Life with kids is messy. Anyone who has been in a house with small children knows that it does not stay clean for very long. What people were seeing in the background went past the regular kind of mess. The clutter was significant. The state of the surfaces, the floor, the general condition of the space. People started screenshotting and posting. Forums started threads, and then things escalated quickly because of one specific clip: maggots in the stove. That clip traveled faster than almost anything else attached to her name. Not because people were surprised that a kitchen can get dirty, but because of the scale of what was visible and what it implied about how long things had gotten to that. Maggots don't appear overnight. There's a timeline there.
Donut Mom, aka Alex, posted a video today, and we have to talk about it because I noticed something very concerning. So 5 days ago, Alex posted a video of her making mac and cheese, right? 5 days ago. In the video that she posted today, she's like making pizza rolls on a pan, and she's taking the sheet pan off of her stove, and on the stove you can see a crusted piece of macaroni and cheese. So I go to her video from the day before, which would have been 3 days after making the mac and cheese. A piece of mac and cheese is still there. She also had maggots crawling all over her dishes, which could probably be from all the animal feces around the house. But don't listen to the haters, mama. The flies and the kids are fed. No, but for real, this is really getting out of hand. It's the lack of cleaning up after making dishes for your family. And it's also the constant clutter around your whole entire house. It's just not normal.
Donut Mom posted a video of her doing her dishes, and you can see several maggots all over her fork.
Oh yeah, we see them.
Slow
We
down
see
and
them.
zoomed in. Oh my fucking god.
Ugh. Bro, they're alive. They're moving.
Alex, do you not understand that you have shit on the floor and trash and food all over your house? There's generations of flies living in your house.
She's got maggots doing 100-meter sprints around her cutlery, and then generations of flies. So have you guys ever wondered why there's just so many flies in the world? Well, this is the breeding ground, ladies and gentlemen. This is the place where flies originated from, and with the amount of food that she leaves hanging around, they're probably big fuckers as well, like huge fat flies.
The reaction content started going up within hours, not days, hours. People were not just commenting under the original clip, they were making full reaction videos, pulling the clip in, adding commentary, uploading that. Then the comment sections on those reaction videos had regulars showing up like it was appointment television. People were tagging their friends, telling them they needed to see this. Then it got weirder because it got to the point where people started making AI-generated content, deepfakes built around her situation, and posting them online as a specific kind of public humiliation. Worth pausing on that for a second, because it tells you something about where the pylon was sitting at this point. This was not just commentary anymore. This was people making content specifically designed to degrade someone and packaging it as community reaction.
I'm tired. We are having pizza. We are having donuts again. I think it needs more butter. Have a good day, everyone.
Then came the bathtub.
So, looking kind of swampy, girl. I'm not gonna lie. When's the last time the water was taken out of there?
This was actually just last night. I just didn't dump it. It drains really slow.
Okay.
So I just sometimes don't the day of.
Okay. All right.
Roaches. The comment sections at this point had completely stopped being about parenting philosophy. Nobody was debating food shaming anymore. People were asking whether Child Protective Services had been contacted, whether anyone had done a welfare check. The conversation had moved into a different register entirely.
I feel like you are embarrassed of the mess and that you don't want it to be like that and you want it to be clean. That, you know, we've talked about your mental state privately. This is where we're at, and that your place does need to be clean, and that, you know, people are saying that the bugs and this, that, and the other, like, whether you have bugs or you don't have bugs, I know you don't do stuff every single day.
I think the problem is now, and I've said this before, it got to a point where, okay, one day, you know, it wasn't that bad, and then, you know, you would clean, and then, you know, a couple days would go by and you're like, no, I really enjoyed that break. And then you would clean and it just like progressively got worse. You would take a little bit extra longer, or you didn't clean up dinner right away like you used to, and it just progressively got worse. Now it truly is too much to
talk about the window situation. That is not something that we're discussing. We've already went over it. You know, that's her kid's room. You know, she doesn't have to prove that the window's fixed or this, that, and the other. You know, I'm assuming that it is.
I have no reason why.
Then it is fixed. I just didn't like full on ask you if it was.
Yeah, it's fixed.
I just think that she's more, one, a little bit stubborn, and I think that she thinks that, you know, this is her mess, that she has to clean it up herself because she made it. Or that's her kids and she feels like that she has to do it. And I feel like she does guilt trip herself a little bit into thinking that she can't accept help.
Hey, this is getting ridiculous. That should not be happening. And y'all are saying that we're being fake and we're just babying her. I do care because there are kids involved. I do care because I grew up in situations like that. I do care because I'm watching her get mentally torn apart. I already told her sooner or later this is going to not just affect you, but affect your kids. And that's why we care. So you say we shouldn't care. You cannot be a good friend and then let her continue to self-destruct. That's not how it works.
Other creators started offering to come clean the house on camera for content. Some of those offers were probably genuine. A lot of them were not, but either way, the house had become a recurring character in a story that kept getting bigger every week.
Do you ever clean the side, like right there where all that?
This side's harder to get to because it's like very narrow. Okay. So I clean that one.
How do you deal with all? Does the rabbit poop smell? Like, how do you deal with that while you're sleeping?
No, so the rabbit poop is just like regurgitated hay. So it's not like regular animal poop. You can look it up. It's just like dried hay.
She did eventually respond to all of it. Made a video, cleaned the place up, addressed the criticism directly.
This is my living room. A normal mess. I have dog toys and kids stuff right there. My kitchen. Clutter. That's it. Clutter. No, I don't have maggots. These are all clean dishes. These are the dirty dishes. Those are all clean dishes. These are all clean dishes. Clutter, not filth. Clutter. Look, my stove's clean. Clutter. Clutter. My daughter's room has toys in it. This is my youngest daughter's room. This is my 6-year-old's room. My 6-year-old's room. SpongeBob, my 6-year-old, drew on the wall. My 8-year-old's room.
Thank you, Mommy. Thank
My 8-year-old's room. Normal kid mess. 1 bathroom. And my room. With my bunnies that you guys all complain about. And yes, they do poop on the floor, and yes, it gets cleaned up every single day. But I have a normal mess. And I'm not gonna show my bathroom because my daughter's in there right now. So y'all wanted a house tour? There's the house tour. Now leave me alone.
The video exists and the response exists, and credit where it's due, she made it, but the before clips had already been in several 100,000 people's feeds by the time the response went up. The image was set. The cleanup video became a data point in a story that had already formed its conclusion without waiting for her. While people were still processing what they had seen, something else started building its own case file. This is where the original donut controversy starts to look like a preview of something bigger rather than a one-off moment, because the clips that started coming out were not isolated. They were consistent, pattern after pattern of what she was feeding her kids, documented across content she posted herself.
Excited. So as you guys probably know, I live in the middle of bumfuck nowhere, but we just got grocery delivery through Walmart in our area, which is super surprising because Walmart is like 50 minutes away. And I tipped good, but I got my first grocery delivery, brioche hamburger buns and these Hawaiian sweet rolls. I got this big bag of marshmallow fruity pebbles. I got this box of Special K. I got this box of Trix. And I got this box of fruit spins. I got these mini cheese balls. I got 2 boxes of Reese's Puffs. I got a pack of green beans. I got a bag of red potatoes. I got a box of Rice Krispie treats. Got each of my kids one of these snack packs. I got this box of Cookie Crisp. I got 2 bags of these Halloween Reese's.
Hey look, I get it, you're an exhausted mama, but all I'm really seeing here is plastic and sugar. I'm not sure if the kids are going to be like bouncing off the walls when they go to school, or whether they're just going to be asleep with their head on the desk. I was just about to say we don't have enough sugar on this plate.
Which plate?
Hey look, I'm not hating, but I had a hair in my mouth the other day, and I genuinely think it has more nutritional value than this. How dry would you like your breakfast? There's no milk. Where is the milk? Could it possibly be any drier?
5-year-old's plate.
I'm gonna do it, guys. I'm gonna have to skip some. Not exactly Gordon Ramsay out here.
1 eternity later.
7-year-old's plate.
Hang on, 7 years old? You just said they're 8, 5 and 2. You don't even know the age of your own children.
Frozen men speak, you can't. Oh my fucking god, no! You guys just saw that, right? You see that, or am I imagining it? Please tell me I'm fucking imagining it. Her nail from her pinky fell in the fucking bum.
Now, here's something worth bringing up that pretty much none of the other commentary videos covering this story bothered to mention. The Cleveland Clinic has published research specifically on what a consistent diet of fried food does to a child's developing body. High trans fat content links to chronic inflammation, cardiovascular risks that compound over time. The concern that people were raising in the comments was not just people being dramatic or finding another angle to attack her from. There's actual medical grounding to it. And that context matters because of what's happening to the public perception at this point. Once people had seen the house clips, they stopped watching the food clips in isolation. Everything was getting run through the same filter. Maggots in the stove, roaches in the bathtub, and now this for breakfast every day. People had built a picture of the situation, and every new piece of content was being absorbed into that picture rather than evaluated on its own. The Yahoo News coverage from around the time of the original donut controversy captured some of what the comment sections looked like during that first wave. What people were writing in those comments was not purely food shaming. Some of it was that, but mixed in with the cruelty and the snark was a genuine undercurrent of concern from people who were already watching closely and did not like what they were seeing. The donut was never really about the donut. The food situation was serious enough, but then came something else entirely. This is where the tone of everything changes.
Don't even. Do not come up here and lie about that. That's not even funny. It's not a funny joke. You don't lie about stuff like that.
Nah, he said that as soon as the cameras started rolling. Man, kids say the darndest thing. He really gonna say you slapped him in his face?
Yeah, that's my 6-year-old. She has a lying thing she's been doing recently. And she even admitted it was a joke.
Right. So you don't. I'll ask you that tomorrow on stage. We just make note of that, Ma. Whoever's making notes for my questions tomorrow.
I cannot believe she just said that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe she said that either, girl. I was like, oh.
I have never smacked her in her face.
In an interview concocted by Mama Drama, much of her food content will get to a darker tone. Within the interview, her daughter said that her mom had slapped her in the face. This is where the tone of everything changes. That kind of accusation coming from a child on camera in real time does not stay quiet. It spread immediately. Screenshots, clips, reposts, and what Donut Mom did in response is honestly what made people the most uncomfortable out of everything connected to her name.
No, she said, what did you say? What did you say? You said mommy's the best cook, and what else? No, and you said something about me slapping you in the face. Why are you lying again? Yeah, you are. I know you lied. Don't tell people I smack you in the face. That's not even funny. What? You tell people that at school too?
So she sound like she's saying she tell people at school you slap her in the face?
She got on stream and pushed back on what her daughter said. Not privately, not through a lawyer or a statement or a quiet conversation. She went live with an audience watching and started disputing her own child's account in real time.
And now literally everybody is probably like, has that screen recorded because they always see that with my 6-year-old. They always see that. My 6-year-old has said multiple lies while I'm on TikTok live that people screen record. So someone's gonna post that tonight.
You feel like she just like to put on the show once the cameras started rolling. She like, oh, let me just put on a show. She just like to do that.
No, she always lies. She's 1 strike away from in-school suspension and school for lying to her teachers.
Oh wow. I'll ask a couple questions before the interview tomorrow, since this I was blindsided by this.
The response was that her daughter is a pathological liar, that the behavior is documented, that it's a known pattern, that she has a history of making things up. She said this about her own kid on a public stream to an audience of strangers on the internet.
That she lies like for attention, or like she's just a natural born liar.
I think it's for attention. She does a lot of stuff for attention, like she'll hit her sister just so I'll get mad at her. Like if I'm busy doing something, like if I'm editing or something like that, she'll hit her sister or push her over just so I get mad.
She talked about how her daughter lies specifically for attention, how it's a recurring thing, how people who don't know the full context cannot understand how this child operates.
Any attention's better than no attention.
Right.
And I give them all equal attention, but she for some reason doesn't get enough. Her therapist described it as her cup has like a hole in the bottom and you can never fill her cup. That's how her therapist described it.
And has her therapist ever like said that she says in therapy that you hit her?
No. Her therapist does play therapy, so it's always like I'm always in the same room. But she like has told me that she knows. I've told her the stuff about TikTok that goes around. Like people think I'm. People think that I'm this horrible mom, and they've said multiple times that they would have been able to tell if I was by now, because they come here every week.
So your daughter's therapist comes to the house every week, and they don't say nothing about the way the house looks when they go.
Okay. They've commented. They've said that it's a little messy, but they're mandated reporters. So they've said, like I've said, how people think CPS should be at my house. And they've said that if they saw a CPS-worthy problem, they would have called them.
Right. I can see you got real red when that happened. Oof, girl, I can feel your anxiety over here.
What, with the hitting thing?
Yeah, because she said it really clear. I was shocked.
Right, and that's the thing is everybody believes what she says. So, like, there's rumors about me that are not true that go around because my 6-year-old said it. And she even said it was a joke. You heard her say it was just a joke. But they're going to take that out of the clip.
Welcome to social media. What's the worst rumor that
Then she mentioned that all of her children are in therapy. She brought it up like the way you bring up something when you want it to sound like evidence of good parenting. Like the therapy is proof that she's handling things, that she takes their mental health seriously, that she's on top of it. The comment sections did not receive that information the way she intended. People were not reassured. If anything, the number of children in therapy mentioned in the context of everything else added weight to a picture that was already looking pretty heavy.
Okay.
Yeah, you broke your window.
Is that the little girl again?
Yeah.
So she's saying that she broke her window?
Yeah, she broke her window that day and came out and told me she broke it. While I was online.
At some point, her daughter broke a window. That came up in the same stretch of conversation. The window is a small detail, but it adds to the texture of what life in that house apparently looks like day to day.
So then people started using that against you.
Unfortunately.
Oh, wow. Well, anything else you want to, because you know people are about to clip that. Anything you want to clarify so that, like, about what just happened?
I don't hate my daughter. Yeah. I know that. Excuse me? If you don't stop telling people that.
Did she just say, yes, you do? When
Yeah.
Like, geesh. Jesus.
That is not funny, Brooklyn. Do you understand the repercussions that has on me? That is not something to joke about. You're not joking this time. I hit you.
She's not joking.
I hit you, right? Right. Because you're lying again.
And then the daughter accused her again. This is important. It's not a single moment that could be written off as a child acting out or exaggerating in front of a camera. The accusation came up more than once across multiple moments in a way that made the pathological liar framing harder for people watching to accept at face value.
I believe your daughter. I believe her when she said that you slapped her, and then the second time when she said you do slap me. And so my question to you, you're not the first person who's ever came on my stage, and I've had a discussion about people putting their hands on their kids. In fact, I had a woman come on stage before, and it's actually on the Patreon. It was a spanking debate and hitting kids debate, and she's like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she said she does hit her kids. And I explained, okay, well, what's the problem? What's happening when you're deciding to put your hands on your kids? And she says, well, this is happening. And so I directed her, okay, well, you could do this differently. So my question to you, right, is, are you going to sit on the stage and tell me again that your daughter was lying in the live last night?
Yes, I am. I have never hit her in her face.
Have you hit her at all?
I have popped her hand. I have popped her butt. I have never hit her in her face.
So you've given her a spanking and you have hit her hand?
Yes.
Okay, and what led you to giving her a spanking?
The only time I have ever popped her hand, or oh, you mean like a spanking on the butt?
Yeah, like what? Yeah, yes.
I don't remember. That was when she was like 3. I've only ever gave her a pop or a spanking for hitting, biting, something physical. Something that I don't feel timeout will fix.
Okay.
I tried to stop and do the gentle parenting thing, and then everybody told me that I was letting her walk all over me.
She addressed the spanking question directly eventually. Yes, she spanks her children. She was upfront about that. But the line she drew was the face, not in the face. That was her specific clarification, delivered on a public live stream as her response to her daughter's public accusation. Then she explained her understanding of gentle parenting, sincerely, with what appeared to be genuine conviction.
So what do you consider, what's your version of gentle parenting? What do you consider that to be?
Time out, taking things away. I stopped popping them completely. In fact, my 3-year-old has been popped maybe once on her hand. I've never popped her butt. I don't pop for just everything. I only do it for physical things.
People in the comments had extremely varied reactions to that specific moment, and probably the most charitable read is that she genuinely believes in the framework she described, while also doing things that sit in significant tension with it.
Let me just say this for the people crying, oh, it's so messed up we couldn't get it for free on TikTok. The majority of this interview would have got me flagged on TikTok, and you're gonna see right now why.
Okay, so Taylor is your current boyfriend.
Yes.
Okay. So what is this situation with outside of some door?
So me, James, and Dana were in the bedroom one night, and
Okay, James and Dana. Okay, Taylor is the one who you're with now, who was in front of the door.
Then came information about the boyfriend. He had been outside her children's bedroom door. That is not an allegation from a child who has been characterized as someone who lies for attention. That is something she acknowledged herself in the same stream where she was defending herself against her daughter's accusations. The story is that her eldest son locks his doors to his bedroom at night, and her boyfriend wants the lock taken off the door, and Alex was concerned about that. Two separate things brought up in the same conversation, and the combination of them sitting next to each other is what the comment sections could not stop talking about for the next week.
Actually publicly said that he accused me of this. He accused me of assaulting my daughter.
Girl, this man accused you of assaulting your daughter to be petty, and you are with him now?
Yeah.
Oh my God, you really need therapy very bad. So what exactly did he say to them?
That our then 3-year-old went to his house for a visit and made a motion with his fingers and said that I did that to Brooklyn, like opening her. And he also said that she had a cigarette burn on her ankle. She had, on the back of her ankle, she had a, what's it called? When you get a new pair of shoes?
Yeah.
And they rub up, she had that because I had bought her a new pair of shoes, and he said it was a cigarette burn.
Okay, how the can you forgive someone for accusing you of, like, what goes through your mind after that? Like, I need to know when this happened, what was going through your mind, and how do you get to the level of forgiving him to be with him again? Because that's such a serious accusation.
He apologized.
Girl, he said, I'm sorry?
Yeah.
And that was it? That's all it took?
I mean,
yeah, you guys are back together. And what came of those allegations with CPS? Like, what ended up happening?
They tested her.
Her boyfriend called CPS on her. He was the one who picked up the phone and made the report. He accused her of her child, Brooklyn. Investigators got involved. There were tests. The process happened the way the process is designed to happen when those kinds of allegations come in. And after all of that, after the accusation and the investigation and everything that entails for a family, she forgave him because he apologized. That is the sentence that kept appearing in the comments section for weeks. Just that sentence, because people could not move past it. The person who called CPS and accused her of her own daughter, gone because he said sorry.
They asked my son if I had ever done anything to his sister. He said no. They found absolutely zero proof that I had ever done anything like that because I never have and never would. And I actually didn't forgive him for a long time. I wouldn't even talk to him unless it was about the kids because I said, you should know better than that to ever accuse me of something. And for a while there, I actually thought maybe he was doing something because, if you accuse someone of something, most of the time you're doing it. They tested her, so obviously she had never been from either side.
But here's the thing about how this information lands when you put it next to everything else. A boyfriend who behaves the way this one behaved around children, who then weaponizes a child report against the mother of those children, who then gets welcomed back because he expressed remorse. That sequence of events does not become easier to understand just because the investigation closed the way it did. People were not reacting to the legal outcome, they were reacting to the decision she made after it. The donut was nothing. One clip, one moment, the kind of thing that usually generates a news cycle for a week and disappears completely. But it sent enough people to her page that they started seeing everything else, and what they found was not nothing. And the irony is that almost none of of this came from people digging through private records or conducting investigations. She put most of it on camera herself at different points across different streams, usually while trying to respond to whatever had just blown up. And somewhere in the middle of all reaction videos and commentary uploads and subreddit threads are actual children, kids who did not choose to be a part of any of this, who didn't ask to have their home situation become a content category, who are living inside a story the internet has decided is entertainment. The machine does not stop for that. It just keeps uploading. If you want more coverage on the similar dramas, make sure to like, comment your thoughts, and hit the subscribe button and tell us what you want to see next, and we'll make it happen.
Just told that our daughter's brain is covered in tumors. Found this out on the same day that our other daughter passed away 4 years ago.
How far can people go for money or views? At what point does it stop being content and start becoming something dangerous? Because chasing attention is one thing, but harming your own child is something else entirely. This story is not about entertainment. It is really, really disturbing. Let's put everything into context. Alana Harris is a 35-year-old Australian influencer that was recently caught visiting her baby so she could fake that they were undergoing a serious illness, therefore soliciting views and money from her audience. She usually posts family content, daily vlogs, and advice from mothers and stay-at-home parents that she posts to her The Harris Family TikTok account. She's accumulated more than 1.1 million followers and 60 million likes on TikTok. Although the account has now been disabled, I came across a TikTok expose dedicated to uncovering the truth about the family. Alana also has an Instagram account, which has now been taken down. I couldn't get the handle, but I was able to come across her profile from a website. According to the website, Alana had 203,000 followers on Instagram. She was also previously known by the name Alana Schultz. On this website, she also documented her social media journey. According to her, her social media journey started in 2021 when she fell pregnant after having her son Chase. This experience actually set the pace for her to gain over 355,000 followers in 1 year. She said she loves to show the real and raw aspect of being a mama of 3, with Irish twins born 12 months apart. The TikTok that made her popular in 2022 has a quote from a doctor that said, "IUD is the best form of contraception." To show you how much traction this particular content of hers gained, Australian traditional news stations wrote articles about it. Here's an example of an article written by the New York Post. For those who do not know, an intrauterine device, IUD, is a form of birth control that a healthcare provider inserts into your uterus, and once it's inserted, an IUD can prevent pregnancy for up to 10 years or more, depending on the specific type. Your provider can remove your IUD at any time if you decide to become pregnant. So I'm thinking this trended because, in its entirety, it's a contradiction. Contraceptives are widely trusted. Medical professionals recommend them, people rely on them, and they're considered one of the most effective forms of birth control when used correctly. That's the baseline expectation. So for Alana to claim that she still got pregnant under those circumstances immediately raises questions. People want to know what went wrong. Was it misuse, failure, or something being left out of the story? That uncertainty drives attention. Her story simply challenged something people assumed was reliable, and that alone was enough to make it spread. Alana's work history goes back to 2018. On her LinkedIn profile, she worked at Hutton Real Estate in the Greater Brisbane area, and she was the Director of Property Management at Hutton Real Estate. Alana also had previously gone by different names, including Alana Smith. This was when she was previously married because she was indeed married to someone else before Brock. It was alleged that she also left the marriage because of an illness that she faked. We'll get into her faking an illness in a little bit. This next picture adds a new layer to this story. This is a June 28th, 2019 picture of Alana standing in front of a cafe. Previous records show that the cafe was owned by her and her ex-husband. They named it Cafe Harmony Queensland, and they served Kai coffee. In these posts, Alana appears as one of the owners, even though her name isn't directly stated. She ran the cafe alongside her husband from around May 2019 through to roughly May 2020. Another image from December 11th, 2019, posted on the cafe's Facebook page shows her again, this time alone. By May 2020, ownership had shifted. That's when Brock and Alana took over the cafe. Here's a picture of both of them standing in front of the cafe. The whole essence of this background information is to show you that before social media, they already had some form of structure in place. So it is kind of strange when Alana was accused of doing something very, very inhuman. Brock, on his end, was doing FIFO work. So sometimes he spends like 2 weeks away from home and returns back in 2 weeks. For those who don't know, FIFO stands for fly in, fly out. a work arrangement commonly used in industries like mining, oil and gas, and construction. It means employees travel to a remote site for a set roster period, then fly back home for their time off. This system's popular in Australia and other regions where work sites are far from major cities. Although it's reported that at some point Brock had to stop the job for health reasons, in this next post, you can see one of their children in the beautiful cafe, and Brock is even tagged in the picture. As seen in the time of the post, this was in May 2020. Harris also revealed that she and her husband got pregnant on their first date, which in all honesty raises a lot of questions. This is a post from Alana's Facebook account dated May 23rd, 2020, and it says, "This week has been a week from hell, not only for me, but for my partner Broxton. As some of you are aware, I had a mini stroke on Monday." So again, another health-related situation. That led us both feeling hurt and confused. That in itself was a lot for us to comprehend and is still a mystery as to why or how it happened, but to also hear the news that there is a high risk of losing our baby girl had left us, I mean, completely broken. That being said, not only are we grieving the potential loss of our girl, but also Dad to say our final goodbye, and it's Broxton's stepdad, who actually sadly did pass. For those who pray, please we ask for you to lift us. Lift up both myself, Brock, and our precious little girl in your prayers. We're trusting in God for some sort of miracle. Please hug your loved ones a little tighter for me today, and you never know if it's going to be their last. Brock was also tagged in this picture, meaning he saw the post or he had an idea that the post existed. For context's sake, the baby scan you saw in the previous picture was a baby Alana eventually lost. Originally, the loss of her first baby was described as a stillbirth, but several people online have suggested that it was a medical termination. She followed up with this post that says, "I always thought it was strange that at 6.5 months pregnant, I had no belly and no signs of being pregnant at all. I would cherish this photo for the rest of my life, as it is the last family photo I have with her still in my belly. We love you so much, baby girl. You will be in our hearts." She also made this post referencing the loss of the child, who she called Lily. The post reads, "Lily, you may only hold our hands for a short time, but you will hold our hearts forever. You are my greatest blessing and biggest accomplishment. I will never go a day without celebrating you, my sweet baby girl. Thank you for making me a mommy. Rest in peace, Lily." The post was made on the 25th of June, 2020. Do not be deceived by the previous heartfelt message, because what she eventually did is the direct opposite of what a loving mother would do to her child. Alana brands herself as a religious person, a Christian to be precise.
Alright, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Alana.
She attends C3 Powerhouse.
I've been coming to C3 Powerhouse for a little while now, and ever since I walked through the front gates, I felt very welcome and instantly at home.
I also came across a video of her sharing a testimony in church where she said she had believed in God for many years.
I've believed in God for many years, but I went through a season where I made my career and my business the total focus in my life. I felt that since I was working 7 days a week...
According to her, she had focused more on her career and work life until she fell sick. She was rushed to the hospital and diagnosed with stage 5 chronic kidney disease.
I took myself to the doctors and was instantly rushed in an ambulance to hospital. I was confused and had no idea what was going on, but I was soon diagnosed with stage 5 chronic kidney disease.
She was told that she would have to do dialysis while waiting for a kidney transplant.
I was told that until they found a match for a kidney transplant, that I would have to do dialysis treatments 3 times a week to keep me alive.
She said she turned to God, joined a service unit, and focused on strengthening her faith. During one of the services, a pastor prayed for her, and afterwards she went for another test. According to her, her kidney function improved from 7 to 30%.
The next day I went straight to the doctors to get tested and was tested again at hospital the next night. And my kidneys function had raised from 7% to 33%.
Please don't get me wrong. I'm not questioning her faith or her testimony. It's just surprising that someone who presents herself as deeply religious would be accused of something as damning as what we're about to talk about. Also, after the allegations, people started questioning everything about her, including this testimony. Let's check the comments section for reactions. After the testimony, she also made this post with this caption. "I wish I could say this needle was for a horse, but unfortunately it's for me. Not just one of those needles, but 2 of them. One for blood in, one for blood out. 3 times a week for approximately 5 hours at a time." Chronic kidney disease has been labeled as a silent killer, as it usually develops over time, with most people not even knowing about the disease until they're in the final stages, like me. But on a very positive note, my kidneys have improved from a very low 7% to function now at being 33%. Thank you, Jesus. In a shocking turn of events, people realized that this was a lie, and in fact, she stole it from another Instagram user who posted it on the 28th of November 2018. Guess what? She even went ahead to steal the person's caption. Alana and Brock have 4 children that they take care of. James, who is 7 years old, Chase, who is 3 years old, Ellie, who is 2 years, and Daisy, who is just 1 year old. Let's get it right to the allegations that showed the world how evil people can be.
I don't know whether that's like Lily saying that she's here with us, or if it's just a really shitty day. But I need a coffee, so let's make a coffee together.
If you probably come across this clip for the first time, at first glance, you might feel some form of pity for her and even utter a silent prayer for her child. And that's exactly what she used. She capitalized on pity, exploited people's kindness, and used it to her advantage. She's even saying something as strange as the child is ill on the same day that her previous baby died with no tears, no form of emotions, and the next thing is she needs a cup of coffee. Like, how on earth does that even correlate?
I also don't have a coffee machine, and I really need a new coffee. Like, I really need a real coffee right now. But I've just got the stick ones. It's gonna do. It's gonna have to do.
Can you imagine? 1 minute she was feeling sad that she had a sick child. She mentioned her already lost baby, and in a matter of seconds switched to complaining about how she does not have a coffee machine. This is really sickening. In fact, she sounds more upset talking about the coffee machine than she does about her dying baby. Trust me, that's not all.
My kettle is boiling, so it might be a little bit loud, but I'm going to try and compose myself, but we are going through the hardest week of our life.
This is beginning to seem like a poorly rehearsed act.
And Daisy might need brain surgery in a couple of weeks because she has a massive tumor that's causing a lot of issues. I've known in my heart that Daisy's had something wrong. She has been sleeping for like 18 hours every night. And I've been going to the doctors about her since she was about 6 months old.
Let's get into how we know that Alana's faking the whole situation. So, the timeline of Daisy getting diagnosed with tuberous sclerosis complex in June 2024. Alana said it was June 27th, 2024 to align with when she lost her first baby. For those who are new to this is the meaning of tuberous sclerosis complex. It's an uncommon genetic disorder that causes tumors to develop in many parts of the body. These tumors are not cancer, they are called non-cancerous tumors and explained as the overgrowth of cells and tissue that are not expected. Symptoms vary widely depending on where the growths develop and how big they get. The first thing that made it seem like there's some form of truth in this allegations is the fact that her TikTok account has been completely taken down right from the immediate moment that these allegations came up. Surprisingly, there was no defense, rebuttal, or statement from her ends for a case as severe as this. How do you think keeping quiet and taking everything down is the best response or best way to manage this situation? Even in cases where people are guilty, they're still courteous enough to give a statement apologizing for their behaviors and clearing any form of misinformation, but in her case, it was just silence. The only person that spoke, although minimally, was her husband. We'll get to that soon. Secondly, her GoFundMe has been taken down. I feel like nothing screams guilty like these two reasons. It's possible that the platform sanctioned her after the allegations. Again, if you're not guilty, it's only common sense to defend yourself. I mean, I am just trying to be critical here. Although it has been taken down, the last screenshot we have of the GoFundMe showed that over 60,000 Australian dollars had been raised. The GoFundMe was tagged, "Support Daisy and her family during this trying time." This was further confirmed by the police, who confirmed the amount and claimed that GoFundMe is now accepting to repay the money donated. I mean, if you were looking for a motive, the amount that's being donated to her is a fairly decent answer for you. So just for future reference, we're dealing with a woman who's willing to sacrifice the life of their baby for 60,000 Australian dollars. This is sad. Anyway, let's get to the part where things took a turn completely. By a turn completely, I mean the thing that exposed her. Doctors were operating on this sick baby Daisy, trying to keep her alive. Mind you, Daisy was 1 year old here, but after the surgery they didn't find any signs of tumors. As medical professionals would always do, they did a follow-up blood test on the baby and they found excessive benzodiazepines, which, for those of you who don't know, are treatments associated with treating insomnia, anxiety, and it's usually taken orally or it can be injected. It's neither gotten through an insect or animal bite, nor is it something that's caused by skin reactions. It is a medication that has to be administered by a person, and there's no way a 1-year-old baby is administering benzodiazepines herself. Someone was obviously giving it to her, and all fingers point to Alana. And the doctors treating the baby had a similar feeling because immediately they found out that Alana was giving contradictory medical information about the baby Daisy on TikTok for the sake of pity. Then they knew something was wrong. This is the interesting thing about the internet. Most people are on social media, irrespective of their career. So it was quite easy for the doctors to actually come across her TikTok page. As every well-meaning person will do, they called Child Protection Services. Personally, I feel like this was absolutely commendable on the path of the doctors. You might be wondering how this information became public. Turns out that Australian media got a leaked text message concerning the case. Let's take a look at it together. The first text says, "Got some Harris family gossip for you." First off, I don't think that this should be trivialized with the word gossip, especially when an infant's life is literally on the line. They're making it sound like entertainment news or celebrity drama. The sender continues with a message saying, "So the mom or dad, or mom and dad, have drugged Daisy and the whole time." Some of the nurses started following her Insta page and TikTok and was like, no, she's spreading false info. She doesn't have brain tumors and she was never palliative. After her last brain surgery, which found nothing, the Children's Hospital decided to run a toxicology report, and it showed that Daisy had a high reading for benzodiazepines. The kids have been taken off them, and I'm not too sure where the mom and dad are. However, Daisy's under the care of Child Protection and is still in hospital, awake, sitting up, eating, and being a normal 1-year-old. For context's sake, here's the post of Alana talking about her baby being in palliative care. This woman is basically in the hospital lying about what the doctors are telling her, all in the sake of fitting into a narrative that gets her sympathy and a few donations. I never in my life thought I would hear a story like this. That's not all. Let's continue piecing her online narratives and fake drama together. That is not all. Let's continue piecing her online narratives together. In this next post, she wrote, "After 4 weeks in hospital, 9 days in PICU, and 8 cardiac arrests, Daisy is now going into her first brain surgery." Again, people really need to know the difference between content and oversharing, because why do you feel the need to mention how many surgeries or medical procedures your child is going through on an internet full of strangers? Interestingly, all the kid needed to be perfectly okay was for her to be taken from the possession of her mother. It's even more worrisome when you find out that Alana has 4 kids, and the main idea behind the contents on her page was her going through life taking care of her sick children. Most of her content evolved around medical journeys, hospital visits, and children illnesses.
When I was 16, I woke up during surgery. While they were operating on me, I had just gone in for a basic surgery to get my tonsils out, and I ended up in ICU. But I actually had a dream about this last night, and it reminded me of the actual event, and it traumatized me for years.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. She's normalized talking about hospital visits to the point that she's talking about it while putting on makeup. Anyways, let's listen to more of her lies.
We were just told that our daughter's brain is covered in tumors. My baby girl, she's so little, and she is riddled with tumors.
Is it just me, or does she have a way of exaggerating everything? I really hesitated making this video because you wouldn't believe what she went on to say in this next video.
He said, don't be alarmed because she will have them in her heart, her kidneys, her lungs, her nerves, her spinal cord.
She started by saying, don't be alarmed, and went ahead to list medical conditions that would make anybody alarmed. This woman knows what she's doing.
Epilepsy, Sunday with infantile spasms, and then Thursday with tuberous sclerosis complex. I need a hug. I need a hug.
Remember what I said earlier about her crying without shedding tears? This is another very good example. Listen to how she's coming up with sicknesses to make everything worse. Like this child doesn't have the best health situation, but she somehow feels like the best thing to do is to come online and compound the situation with more ailments. I'm guessing that this woman wakes up every day and her brainstorming session is basically about what lie can I tell about my children that would make me some money from donations today. She needs therapy. What made this even more disturbing is the fact that she was constantly posting photos of the child on the internet as well without blurring the kid's face. Here's a video of a doctor adding an expert opinion to the whole situation.
I suspect that the little girl did in fact have this condition. How you couldn't just make something like that up with no evidence and have a doctor actually perform an invasive intervention.
For context, Dr. Katie is an emergency physician based in Melbourne, Australia. I assume that her profession and the fact that she's based in Australia put her in the right position to speak about this, especially when we consider the fact that there might be some local medical laws that are peculiar to Australia. Based on her analysis, I understand that some of the symptoms are true, meaning like I had earlier said, the baby is not in the healthiest state for a child. Dr. Katie even said that there's no way surgeons would just operate on a child without any proof of any sort of pre-existing conditions, which makes a lot of sense because the whole essence of a surgery is to get to the root of a problem. However, based on everything we've seen so far, all of the videos that Alana had posted, I think she was making the situation worse. Dr. Katie added more insight in this next clip.
This medication was given to a very young child. It can absolutely cause drowsiness, reduced consciousness, unsteadiness on their feet, slurred speech, and, could essentially mimic symptoms of a serious neurological disorder.
Just look at all the side effects that she's willing to risk her child for. You might be wondering why the doctors did not test the child sooner than later. Thankfully, here's Dr. Katie's response in relation to these questions.
To do a drug screen on someone is a urine test. Well, certainly it is where I work in Australia, but it's not going to be the first test that I would order on a little 1-year-old girl who's been brought in with symptoms of reduced conscious level. I'm going to be looking for actual, real-life, organic causes for their symptoms.
Moving on from the situation itself, let's take a look at what happened after the police arrest. Alana released some surface-level information through a voice message.
Unfair, and it's getting addressed at the moment with the proper counsel.
Is that why you've shut the post down?
I can't speak too much. I will get my lawyers to contact you, Bailey. I do really appreciate.
Like I said, no relevant information was released. Again, if these allegations are not true, why not release a public statement about it? I find it strange that her best move was to come on an anonymous interview and claim that her lawyers will be reaching out. Also, Ben Brock's response to this situation is saying an entirely different thing. Here's what he posted on his Snapchat story. I figured this would be the fastest way to reach everybody, as I know everyone likes to gossip. For what it's worth, I had no idea about what Alana was doing to Daisy. I pushed for those surgeries because in my heart I felt that it would help. I didn't realize that Daisy was being drugged the entire time, causing her symptoms to be that way. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm a good dad, and I do my best to love and protect my children. I should have done better for them. I'm sorry I couldn't protect Daisy the way that I should have. The children have been taken into custody under speculation I potentially had something to do with this. On everything I've ever known and ever loved, I had no idea what Alana was doing. Alana, you're an absolute monster. You win. I don't know what he means by you win. To all my 4 beautiful, beautiful children, I love you so dearly. I'm so sorry. He also said this. I also want to add to all the people that have dragged me through the dirt and said all these terrible things about me. When the truth comes out, and it absolutely will, I hope you all feel horrible for the nasty, hurtful, and terrible things you've all said about me. I've had no part in any of this, and I've only done my best to support Daisy and her medical journey. I like the fact that he is speaking up, unlike his wife. He also made this video saying he won't be answering questions about the kids.
In the future, I won't be really answering questions about the children or the circumstances behind it and kind of what things are looking like moving forward.
People in his comment section were not having it, and that was how they reacted. I honestly understand people criticizing him because it's quite hard to claim innocence when he was basically in the background of all of these. I mean, they stayed in the same house, they went on hospital visits together. I even saw a picture of him waiting in the background while the daughter was about to have a surgery. I'm about to blow your mind away because, as a matter of fact, there is a mental illness for Alana's kind of behavior. In the medical field, it's something called a factitious disorder. In all honesty, she's exhibiting all the symptoms. According to Cleveland Clinic, factitious disorders happen when you create symptoms of an illness to receive care for yourself or someone else. These mental health conditions are harmful and can be life-threatening. Many people deny having a factitious disorder, which can make diagnosing and treating it difficult. Here's what a certified psychologist had to say about it.
A factitious disorder is the development of psychological or physical symptoms. They're starving for attention, they're starving for sympathy, and there is really no better way than having a medical problem.
I also learned that this condition is also called Munchausen syndrome by proxy.
Munchausen syndrome by proxy is a complicated disorder. Simply put, it's medical.
abuse, when a child or someone in another person's care is put through unnecessary medical treatments because their caretaker lies about the victim's health and symptoms.
This video perfectly describes what Alana's doing in this situation. This is why some people say that not every woman is fit to be a mother.
Guys, Chase slept for 20 hours yesterday. 20. He was only awake for 4 hours. There he is.
I don't think a child sleeping for 20 hours a day is healthy, and she's talking about it with a smile on her face like it's something to be proud of. She exhibited the same behavior in this next video too.
So tired.
This is really insane. Here's what a neighbor that lived 15 minutes away from Alana had to say about the situation.
Myself lived 15 minutes away from Alana, so I used to see her when I'd go grocery shopping, and I thought it was pretty cool because obviously she was a big TikToker, someone famous in our area. They look like the cutest family. Like Alana just looked like a beautiful mother who loved to wear flowy dresses and was just so innocent and happy and just a beautiful mum. And then Daisy got sick and she started posting all these things, and I did think to myself, why the fuck is she smiling? Like, she would be holding her child, like, who is unconscious with tubes in her, and she's like...
As the topic kept trending, a woman whose child had the same health condition said this on a video.
They're striking a nerve with me because I do have a medically complex child. My child's brain is covered in tumors. My child's heart does have tumors. My child's kidneys do have tumors on them because my child does have tuberous sclerosis complex, or TSC, which is what the mother claimed this child had.
The woman also said that her own experience is different. As a matter of fact, her child often has seizures, yet this child has never had to go for any surgery.
A day without a seizure in our house is rare and very much appreciated. But even then, they still have not done surgery on my child.
Anyways, for now, this is a video of the Australian media house talking about the story.
To you, good news today. Police have confirmed that young child has now been released from the Queensland Children's Hospital and is doing well. But she isn't in the custody of her parents, though. The little girl is at the subject of this investigation amid allegations she was drugged to mimic a life-threatening medical condition.
It's been almost 2 years now, and for some reason there's no sufficient information on how the case eventually ended. She was arrested.
So right now, you are under arrest for the administration of poison.
According to court hearings, in January 2025, Alana was also charged with 5 counts of administering poison with intent to harm, 3 counts of preparation to commit crimes with dangerous things, and 1 count each of torture and making child exploitation material and fraud. The prosecuting counsel also mentioned to the court that Alana had refused to acknowledge that her child had a manageable, non-fatal condition, and she had administered multiple drugs to the child. They even said that her actions created more symptoms that made the situation more complicated, including causing a code blue cardiac arrest that required resuscitation. That is not all. The prosecutors also claimed that on the 3rd of October 2024, Alana moved a video camera that was monitoring the infant during a brain activity test in order to avoid being caught. All of these show nothing but her evil intentions. The prosecutors also alleged that she was captured on another camera with a syringe that she administered via the nasogastric tube attached to the infant. And about 30 to 40 minutes after this incident, the child was rendered completely unconscious. I also came across an interview with Brock that was released 6 months ago. Brock essentially shared his own side of the story, and he answered some pressing questions like what they did with the money they raised. His face is covered because for some reason the Australian media is trying to censor this story. Firstly, Brock claimed that he couldn't have seen the signs that something was wrong because he was not expecting someone he loved and planned to build a future with to do something so evil.
The last thing you're ever going to expect is the person that you're head over heels in love with, you're going to marry, you have children with, you're building a future with. That's not the person you point fingers at.
It appears that he genuinely did not know because there's also a clip of him confronting Alana about the child, which was caught on their house CCTV camera before Alana was arrested.
They just told me that he has tetrasomal recessive.
Yeah, they told me that too.
Why the do you have tetrasomal?
I don't know.
Brock also confirmed that the baby almost died several times, and this must have been after Alana started poisoning the child.
She almost died several times, several cardiac arrests, several peri arrests.
Brock was asked what happened to all of the money, and he gave a very disappointing response.
People donated $60,000 in good faith. What do you have to say to them?
Well, I'm sorry.
What's happened to the money?
Couldn't tell you. A lot of it did go towards what we said it was going to go towards. There was some left, and I just couldn't tell you what happened to it.
I honestly don't feel like they made good use of that money. I understand that the money raised were from donations, but he still needs to be accountable on how the money was spent. If at all, it was spent in a responsible manner. Brock also said he hasn't had access to the kids for over a year now.
Now I'm still here, a year on, without being able to put my children to bed and give kisses and cuddles.
Brock said he never harmed his daughter in any way, and he was not aware that she was being harmed.
Did you ever harm your daughter in any way?
No.
Were you aware she was being harmed?
No.
In the end, Brock said the police would not charge him for anything because he wasn't guilty of anything.
What have the police said?
Lots of wishing. They're not going to charge me because I didn't do anything.
I really hope this story is a wake-up call. Not everything you see online is real, and not every story should be taken at face value. When content starts centering around suffering, especially when children are involved, there has to be a line. Because once that line is crossed, it doesn't just stay online. It affects real people, real families, real lives. At the end of the day, this isn't just about views or money, it's about responsibility, and sometimes the price of chasing attention ends up being far worse than anyone expects. Once you realize what Nika Diwa is actually doing with her TikTok account, you'll never be able to unsee it.
Bombastic side-eye. Criminal offensive side-eye.
Because listen, if there's ever a TikTok trend with a group of black guys in the back, she's going to find a way to make it about her husband somehow. And if you scroll long enough on TikTok, you'll eventually slide right past the sweet family vloggers and land straight on the weird, creepy side of TikTok.
It was a whole African baby and you wanted to shoot.
I need to buy a gun.
There's a whole dark corner of the app where creators treat their black partners and mixed kids like rare Pokemon cards just to get views and brand deals.
It got worse, but I feel like it's about to get worse.
And the creator doing the absolute most right now is Nika Diwa. We're talking about faking drama, using her in-laws as props, and posting crazy stuff that her kids are going to have to explain when they get older. She's running wild. This is the negrophilia of Nika Diwa. Okay. Negrophilia is a heavy word. I know it sounds like something out of a sociology class, but to break it down simply, it goes back to 1920s Paris when rich white people become weirdly obsessed with black art, jazz, and culture. They treated blackness like this trendy, exotic accessory that they could show off to their friends. Fast forward a century later, and Nika is running the digital version of this. Her entire platform feels like an interactive zoo exhibit she's curating for views, and the main attraction is always her husband and kids.
A whole African husband watching my pregnant wife eat a whole African meal with her half African baby.
A whole African husband, a whole African meal, a half African baby. The constant need to force that label onto literally everything is just wild. It's almost like she thinks everything about her family is like collecting infinity stones. I mean, when you constantly refer to your partner like that, you're stripping away his actual personality. You'd think maybe this is just a weird captioning habit, but then you watch more of her videos.
Out of this bullshit? Last time it was a whole African baby and you wanted to shoot.
I need to buy a gun.
Why are we acting like pushing out an African baby takes some kind of extreme superhuman toll compared to anyone else? She's leaning so heavily into this racist stereotype that black bodies are biologically different, larger, or more aggressive. So having him flex his biceps while she stresses over pushing is like a straight up dog whistle. She's reducing him entirely to his anatomy, basically winking at the audience to imagine this giant baby he put in her. The husband also stands there like he doesn't see what's happening. And this does more harm than you know. It feeds into the exact same logic that fuels real-life medical racism, turning a systemic issue into a quick TikTok joke. Anyways, playing the main character because you date outside your race only works until real life ruins the supposed aesthetic. And when that happens, you just move on to something still ridiculous.
Watching my gangster husband become a dad gangster? Okay, girl, whatever. But hold on, what happened to the bonus kids, though? How can he become a daddy if he already a fucking dad? That's the son he got them child charges on. Let's not forget. 2 years after you married him. Child charges? What you mean by gangster? Left his underage son home alone to go get drunk and then drank and to the hospital to go yell at the police for taking his son. Sir, you was
This man literally already had 2 daughters and a son before they even met, and she's acting like this is brand new. She wants that Wattpad storyline of the innocent girl taming the wild street guy so desperately that it sucks. This man was already domestic before he met you. She just wants to squeeze him into a thug stereotype because it sells better. She needs him to be that gangster so she gets to play the savior. And if she easily fakes her husband's past, you know she's doing the exact same thing to her kids. Be for real. Are you trying to tell us that a baby who hasn't even started forming sentences looked at an animated lion and connected it to her African grandma? Come on. Nico is just looking for a way to just throw the word African in the caption for views. Her desperation to flex how close she's to blackness means hijacking whatever's trending. Like, do you remember when the whole internet was obsessing over that Aaron Pierre video?
Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa.
Yeah, Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. People were genuinely hyping up this man's features and voice in a really positive celebration of black masculinity, but Nika? Nah. She obviously couldn't let that moment breathe without making it about what she owns.
Aaron Pierre, that's Mufasa. Aaron Pierre.
POV, I live without the Mufasa. What the?
She's like, can't y'all see that I live with all the Mufasas? Therefore, she's lining up her husband and his relatives to show them off like background extras in a movie about her life. And this isn't a one-off thing. If it was, we might give her a pass, but she does this constantly. She's always posting with a group of black people with her at the front and them at her back.
Listen, if there's ever a trend of a group of niggas in the back, Nika Diwa, she'll be there, relating it to her black husband some way, somehow. Calling him your brother?
Bombastic side-eye. Criminal offensive.
Treating them like they're props is just wild to watch. Look at this next one.
What did you say about my brother? Stay away from my brother. I say so.
When these are your big brothers, but you have Chihuahua energy. I mean, if the joke was genuinely just about having big brothers, she could have used her Filipino brothers, right? No, she specifically enjoys having black men stand behind her in these videos just to highlight how much of a difference a small Asian woman next to big black men looks like on camera. It is so calculated. And the way she treats these men is honestly just the warm-up for the energy she aims directly at her mother-in-law.
Fighting with my husband when my African mother-in-law walks in, she starts doing African moves. Like, what? How is that not fucking racist?
Look at what she's doing here. The sudden switch up, the weird, exaggerated, fake scared dance. She's pushing the aggressive African woman stereotype as hard as she can, making it feel like a bad 90s sitcom trope, but she's using her actual mother-in-law as a prop to act it out. And she just keeps leaning into this idea that African people are inherently loud and hostile. It's like she has this constant need for her own family. Everything has to be labeled African to make sure the audience never forgets she's in an interracial space. But then she also takes that label and attaches it directly to negative stereotypes.
Noise, what? Here we go with that same loud African stereotype. Oh my god, I thought it was a fight, but these gorillas are just chatting and yapping. Like, aren't you fucking Filipina? Y'all parties are so loud.
But who's this actually for? Because every black person watching knows exactly what this microaggression feels like. It's that exact same energy when black people are just talking normally and a non-black person steps in and tells them to calm down or stop yelling. By captioning it, just Africans having a normal convo, it's like she's saying that there's an innate aggression in how they speak. In her world, there's normal conversation and then there's African conversation. More so, the way she treats her everyday interactions with her mother-in-law like she's trying to survive a beast is wild.
Push. Here she goes again, performing as if people in Nigeria are still getting on their hands and knees to greet their mother-in-laws. Such a fucking act.
The performative respect in this is just a setup for the most damaging part of this in-law content, like how she manufactures this fake life or death fear of her husband's mother just for engagement.
When you finally get the courage to stand up, but she's Nigerian. Like, what the fuck is that even supposed to mean? You can't get a word in just because she's African? I'm confused here.
Why does standing up to her have to be connected to her being Nigerian? She's telling her audience that the danger comes directly from her mother-in-law's nationality, and she doubles down on this exact phrasing.
I have a Nigerian mom. Of course.
Of course? You said of course? What?
Of course, I thank God for her every single day.
Oh, that's what I thought. All right.
risking my life again doing this trend with my Nigerian mother-in-law. If you consume this at just surface level, you might think that this is just harmless mother-in-law jokes, but hey, look at the exact words she uses. By explicitly saying my Nigerian mother-in-law, the stigma of black women being violent and angry does all the heavy lifting. The viewer's brain fills in the blanks for her. She's pushing a deeply xenophobic narrative, disguising it as a TikTok trend and tossing her mother-in-law to an audience that she knows will eat the stereotype up. And when she isn't making her mother-in-law look violent, she plays into these ridiculously outdated gender roles to mock the culture she married into. Tell me, what's the message here? She's pretending her African mother-in-law would lose her mind seeing a man cook. It paints the mother as this terrifying enforcer of patriarchy. And because it got views, she literally repeated the exact same joke. This is purely performative nonsense. And she keeps making these because she found a formula that gets clicks by throwing her in-laws under the bus. Plus, when she tries to actually appreciate the culture instead of mocking it, it somehow gets even worse because she just makes things up.
Long live the king, king, you know it. King already, you know it. Stop everything, you know it. King already.
I love the internet because they'll call you out in real time, but the fake traditions don't stop at dancing.
Sasa. Look at me, just presenting sheep on us.
Right? Which part of Nigeria is this? Nowhere, because it's completely fabricated. She's just slapping the word African or Nigerian on absolutely anything she does because she knows her audience won't fact check it and the algorithm will reward her for it. And even when she interacts with her mother-in-law on a basic level, she frames it as a survival mission.
Rose.
Who you calling? Who you calling, Rose? Since when? I think I need to educate you some more. Should I take you to school again?
I'm not doing it again.
All right. We're gonna be respectful.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Yes, Dr. Rose.
Oh, yes. That's much better. I love you.
I love you too. Dr. Rose.
Yes.
Dr.
Oh.
Again with the fake danger. Even the captions she used in the video says, "Not me risking my life for a TikTok trend." How is she risking her life? It's an exhausting cycle of turning this woman into a caricature for a quick viral moment, and when she runs out of mother-in-law content, she just aims at the entire continent.
No!
Look at what she's also implying here. She's leaning straight into the African time stereotype. You know, the running trope that African people are chronically late to everything and don't respect schedules. Now, let's keep it 100. Joking about the timing of parties is a massive inside joke within the culture. Anyone who's ever been to a Nigerian wedding or function knows exactly how the timing works. But why does it feel so weird and off-putting when Nika does it? Well, it's because she isn't laughing with the community. She's packaging it as another exotic, look at how wild and different these Africans are exhibit for an outside audience. She takes a shared cultural quirk and weaponizes it into such a way that it becomes a spectacle for engagement, and this cultural clash takes a completely dark turn when we look at her conversations with her father.
Daddy, question. How did you feel when you found out I was gonna marry a man from Africa?
Oh, it makes the most natural sense.
Okay, why?
Stop right there and look at what she wrote in the caption. Why phrase it exactly like that if not that she's completely baiting her audience? If you aren't paying attention, you might think she's just implying that her dad was shocked she dated outside her culture, but if you actually know how this works, there's a very real deep-rooted colorism that exists in a lot of Asian cultures, including the Philippines. There's a specific stigma against dating black men, whereas dating a white man wouldn't get that same negative reaction. She knows exactly who she's baiting with this setup, and she's leading her audience to expect a racist reaction from her immigrant dad for the views. But then her dad answers, and it somehow gets even worse.
Because a man from Africa, a very powerful group of people, that's what you need.
Oh my. The fetishization is literally coming from inside the house. Her dad doesn't say it makes sense because her husband's a great guy or because he treats her well. No, he goes straight to a powerful group of people. We're right back to that hyper-masculinization of black men. It reduces her husband to pure muscle and dominance. But wait, because the dad's not done talking.
You're a woman that has to be tamed.
A woman that has to be tamed. Let that sink in ASAP. First, it pushes this gross sexist narrative that a woman is basically a wild animal that needs a man to domesticate her. But look at which type of man he says is required for the job. By saying she needs a powerful African man to handle her, he's subtly throwing shade at Filipino men and basically himself, right? He's basically saying that Asian men aren't traditionally manly or strong enough to tame her. It's layer upon layer of racism, and stereotyping caught on camera that she edited and uploaded like it was a cute family moment. And when you just think deeply about these things, you'd start to notice a really weird pattern with how she treats her own culture compared to how she exploits her husband's. That's definitely a very valid question. Why is the entire channel focused on African this, Nigerian that, black this? Where's the Filipino representation? Well, the internet called it out completely. She only ever brings up her Filipino roots if she can use it for poverty tourism. Taking your mixed kid to a shelter in the Philippines just to use impoverished people as a disciplinary prop to teach her kid to finish their food, it shows exactly how her brain works. She uses her husband's culture for an exotic, high-energy aesthetic, and she uses her own culture's struggles as a prop. And speaking of how she treats those kids, guys, the way Nika and creators just like her treat their biracial kids is like trendy, limited edition accessories rather than actual human beings, and that's a massive issue.
Afternoon. What can I do for you?
I need to buy a gun.
I need to buy it, God. I have to birth the beast. Are you African, bitch? How is the baby a whole African? That f***ing donkey in the back flexing for what? Are you giving birth to a poly baby? You know African babies are statistically smaller, right? Last time I stitched this video, you got it deleted because I told you still push the same way no matter what type of baby you having. Can't take the truth? How is this even funny? To joke about yourself because you have to give birth to a black baby? Be so fucking for real, Nika. Just because your name sounds like it don't make you one.
Who's ultimately going to pay the price for this content? The kids, obviously. I mean, the digital footprint's forever. Millions of mixed kids are going to grow up, log online, and see their parents using their existence and racial makeup for cheap clout. And Nika does this relentlessly. Even if she tries to pass this off as a joke, why is the punchline always rooted in ownership and race? The phrasing is incredibly dehumanizing. She treats a human child like a lease on a car that she's returning to the dealership, and she talks about her own biological children with that same weird energy.
These Nigerian babies built different. It takes two of us to hold her down and give medicine.
Here she is, acting like her own child is an entirely different species just because they're half Nigerian. I'm sure you'd agree with me that giving medicine to a toddler is universally a nightmare. Every parent struggles with it, but she just has to slap the Nigerian label on it and tell us that her baby is somehow wilder or physically harder to handle than a normal baby. It's wildly problematic to alienate your own kid like that, isn't it? And Nika isn't just the only one doing this. There's a whole epidemic of families on TikTok turning their kids' genetics into a viral game.
It got worse, but I feel like it's about to get worse. It got worse. It got worse.
Look at what's happening in this trend. Running out of ink, they're lining other children up to show a color gradient. This just reduces these actual living human beings to just their skin tone for a 10-second viral sound, and the creators who do this just keep doubling down.
I just to the neck, but now I'm trophied up. I'm saying like, bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam. Bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam. Bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam. Bing, bop.
I mean, 12 children just lined up like a printer cartridge running out of toner. It's weird behavior, please. I mean, you're teaching your kids that their most valuable, interesting trait for the internet is which shade of brown they happen to be born with. And people just keep on piling on these things.
Last. Now everybody go to breakfast.
Your biggest flex? You brought a human into the world, and your biggest flex isn't that they're healthy or kind or smart. Your biggest flex is their racial makeup. Why are you treating a child exactly like a designer handbag? Like a Birkin that you can show off to prove your social status. And the crazy thing is that you see this specific aesthetic pushed everywhere.
Walking at this city with my mixed South Sudanese Filipina baby. Why she's...
Notice what's missing here. There's no actual context to the video. It's literally just her stating her baby's exact genetic mix while walking down the street. It's the definition of using your kid as a prop to get engagement from the fetish community. But that's not even the end of it. Here's another peek of this unhinged behavior. Having spite babies to prove a point to your racist mom is completely crazy. She's trying to hype up other white girls for using black men to breed revenge babies. But here's what the biracial creator in the Stitch actually says in response. She calls out the fact that if her mother ever used her existence as a prop to get back at her racist grandparents, it would be a massive betrayal.
If my white mother ever used my existence, or the existence of my black biracial brother and sister as a prop, as an accessory, as an example.
Why? Because bringing a human into the world purely to spite your parents means that child is nothing but an object to you. It means you objectified a black man to create a biracial child just to win an argument. This entire subgenre of TikTok doesn't see mixed children as people, it sees them as content, and the way they treat their hair is just as bad. You literally cannot scroll through that side of TikTok without hitting the mandatory struggle videos about hair and skin. It's become an entire subgenre of content farming where creators act like they're solving a Rubik's Cube just by trying to parent their own kids.
Okay, question for anybody that knows hair. My baby is black, and she has hair like her father's, where it's very dry in the back.
Why do they say the word black like it's a jump scare? And if you actually look at the video, that baby's hair doesn't even look dry, but she needs to emphasize the race to make sure the audience knows she's doing the hard work of parenting a child with melanin.
So hair is really special. We're trying to figure it out as we go along. Look at that curl back there. So curly back there, and then here it's like wavy.
Then we have Nika acting like her daughter's hair is some kind of high-stakes survival mission. She's giving Discovery Channel energy over a few curls, like no one in the history of the world has ever dealt with baby hair before. She really tries to frame it like she's a pioneer exploring uncharted territory just by picking up a brush. It's that classic white savior trope where she wants a trophy just for doing basic parenting tasks.
Mixed baby hair is beautiful, but it's also very confusing. I don't know if it is more like black hair, more like Asian hair. It's just like somewhere in the middle. I'm realizing that like the rules for black hair and Asian hair on the opposite extremes don't necessarily apply to my daughter. Like, is gel better than mousse? You know, does she need curl defining cream? All these things. If you have any advice, I'd sure appreciate it.
Which hair are you struggling with, Nika? The baby barely has hair. But no, she wants the brownie points and the, oh, you're such a good mom for learning comments.
Hold on, what?
Nigga said, wait, what did you say? And then you use the brush. Why are there so many brushes? Why are there so many brushes?
It's always a cycle with this one. Who do you think she's doing it for? It's not for the daughter, but the audience. She's using her child's head as a stage to show off how close she is to her black in-laws. Like, just do the hair and stop disturbing us. And what about the lotion? Oh my god.
Stop acting like a f***ing hooligan. I know your mama raised you in a barn, but around these parts, we have some decorum, okay?
She treats using Palmer's or a tub of Vaseline like it's some ancient secret ritual she just stumbled upon in a cave, acting like putting moisturizer on a child is a whole personality trait just because the child happens to be black. It's that same, look how wild and different they are trope she's been riding for years, and it's honestly just getting exhausting to watch.
Stop acting like a f***ing hooligan. I know your mama raised you in a barn, but around these parts, we have some decorum, okay?
She literally cannot stop herself. She's milking the black people love Vaseline joke until there's absolutely nothing left. She knows that stereotyping her own family is the only thing that keeps her numbers up and the engagement going, so she just keeps hitting that same button over and over.
Y'all, we're gonna have to come up with a sunblock for kids that have melanin. Because my daughter's literally white. Like, that ain't it. So do you guys know of any sunblocks for kids for brown girls that don't look white?
Honestly, which part of this is supposed to be a struggle? Just rub the sunscreen in, girl. It's not a science project. She's so desperate to find a problem that only exists because her child is black. It's like she's out here hunting for an inconvenience just so she can get views for solving it. She wants the audience to think she's doing some specialized heavy-duty labor just to keep her kid protected from the sun. But it goes from annoying to straight-up harmful very fast because she's telling the world that black kids are just harder to care for. Look at this next creator.
Dear black people, here we go. I would like to personally apologize to you guys. For years, I used to judge your guys' hair. Like, I see like little tiny little balls of white stuff just floating throughout your hair. And I would say, don't they ever comb it and wash it? And I used to make fun of you guys because you would never like get your hair wet. And I used to scoff at you guys because your hair would be like so oily looking. And I want to apologize for that. Because now I understand what you all go through. Now my son, he's not 100% black. He is mixed. And I brushed his hair, I washed his hair, and I combed it out, and I'm still getting out tangles, I'm still getting out little hairballs, I'm still getting out little fuzz balls, I'm still getting out pine needles because he decided to put pine needles in his hair. And when I have it combed out and it gets wet, it shrinks to his head. And it is a nightmare to comb through.
My stomach actually turned. She's being incredibly aggressive with that comb, just yanking it through his curls without a care in the world. She's calling her own son's hair a dirty nightmare for millions of people to see. And look at the words she chooses. Dear black people. Why start the video like that? She's literally picking a fight with an entire community while she films herself causing her son actual physical pain. Just look at his face. He's clearly in distress, he's wincing, and she's just staring at the camera like she's the one being victimized.
I made a video yesterday asking about some hair care tips for my son who's biracial. I want to thank the mamas who gave me some good advice on what some different things I can put in his hair to help me after he slept in it. It's pretty soft still. And I'm sure some of you would like for me to address my last video. Not the actual video of me making the braid, the video of me referencing how dirty it still seems to be even after I've washed it and combed it out because his curls holds onto like everything. And the one where I said, yeah, my son's hair is a nightmare to comb through. I'm not sure what y'all want me to say. His hair is a nightmare to comb through, and it still appears to be dirty sometimes after I've washed it and combed it because his curls holds onto everything, which is why I made the video, so I can come on here and get some advice on how to care for my son's hair properly. And some of you are concerned that one day he will see this video in the future and oh my gosh, he will think that his mom thought horrific thoughts about his hair. But I'm sure he's going to be more focused on the encouraging and uplifting comments you all left.
It's almost like these creators think they have an "I'm not racist, my son is black" card in their back pocket. They treat their kids like a get out of jail free card to shield themselves from any kind of accountability. Do they really think having a black child gives them a permanent pass to stay ignorant and loud? She refuses to apologize. She refuses to actually learn a better technique from people who know what they're doing. And she just keeps using her son's discomfort for a viral moment. It's honestly gross.
All my life I want money and power, respect my mind, or die from less shout. I pray my big as the Eiffel Tower, so I can fuck the world for 72 hours. Goddamn, I feel amazing. Damn, I'm in the matrix, my mind.
Who are you even trying to impress with this? Again, parenting is work for literally everyone on earth. Every parent is tired. But for those creators, the work isn't about the kid at all. They want to be seen as these brave, tired pioneers, while their kids are just sitting there being used as props for a brand deal or some likes. They're making their children's basic needs look like an Olympic sport just for the good job mama comments. And then there's Miss Jenkins.
Listen, you're finna hate me for this one, but this is my 5th child, okay? Gentle parenting don't do shit. I will not raise my kids with gentle parenting. You got me bent back sideways.
Girl, why are you talking like that? That her forced black scent is physically painful to listen to. She really thinks that a version of blackness that makes her look real or authentic is by acting like she doesn't believe in gentle parenting. Meanwhile, what she's doing is feeding right into that ugly stereotype that black parenting has to be aggressive or loud just to be correct. There's just little to zero boundary these people won't cross for a check. And I mean, they're always crossing the line. Yes, you saw that clearly, and I need us to actually process this. You're talking about a newborn, a baby that's been on Earth for 5 minutes, and you're bringing cooch juice into the caption for millions of strangers to see. It's just vile. I mean, this woman knows exactly which audience is lurking, and she's winking at a fetish community while using her infant as a setup for a joke. And it's not just her own body. She's out here sexualizing these kids before they even know how to tie their shoes.
Nicki Minaj, is that you? Nikki, let's go to the beach. Let's go get away. They say what they gonna say. Grab a drink, quick. Nicki Minaj.
Be so for real right now. You're putting words in your child's mouth that are clearly meant to be provocative just for a watch time boost. You're stripping away your kids' privacy and dignity before they can even consent to being on camera, before they can understand what a camera is, before they have any say in any of this. And she has to know people are saving this for the wrong reasons. There's no version of reality where she doesn't know that. She's been on the internet long enough. She's seen the comments. She just doesn't care because caring would cut into the numbers.
This area right here, this is your...
There were so many saves on this one. It's scary. If I'm a parent and I see thousands of people saving a video of my kid listening to me talk about parts, I'm deleting the app and throwing my phone in the ocean. Not this clout chaser though. After all, she was the one that recorded the video herself, edited and uploaded it. She keeps feeding the monster because it keeps her relevant.
Listen, if my toddler found my special drawer, I'm snatching that shit up. I'm not pulling my fucking phone out to film it and letting her rub it on her goddamn neck. This is supposed to be an embarrassing story she tells her friends as a teenager. Instead, mom's filming it and letting her rub it on her neck for views.
Wait, can you please get it? No. Well, don't rub it on your neck.
See, this is what we're talking about. A normal person would have snatched that out of the toddler's hands so fast, but Nika had time to pull out her phone, open TikTok, frame the shot, and record her toddler holding an adult toy, all for a POV joke. She's so narcissistic that it bleeds into where it shouldn't.
The manager just be like, cool.
I'm shaking right now because my black husband was pretty sure just racially profiled at a grocery store. I'm not going to drop the name and the location, as tempting as that is, because there is a larger issue at hand.
So, her black husband just got victimized by systemic racism. He was the one profiled. He's the one who was disrespected. So why is she the one on camera?
Justice happens. I'm allowed to be frustrated, and not even like an apology. Not even the slightest apology. Not even an acknowledgement.
He's literally consoling her while she records herself for being a sad ally. Nika, his trauma is not your content, his experience is not your arc, but that's exactly what it became. Anyway, you know by now that Nika's not a standalone issue. She's a symptom of an entire content ecosystem that figured out black men, black culture, biracial children, and interracial relationships generate massive engagement, and engagement generates income. So these creators, and there are a lot of them, are monetizing stereotypes. Sadly though, the kids never signed up to be the main attraction. They didn't consent to their hair struggle series. They didn't consent to the ink trend. They didn't consent to being called a rented black baby or a rare Pokemon or someone's biggest flex. They just exist, and their existence is being farmed. Just to put the actual scale of this into perspective, the multiracial population in the United States went from around 9 million in 2010 to almost 34 million in 2020. That is not a small number. That's tens of millions of real human beings who are going to grow up, get their own phones, open their own social media accounts, and find a massive permanent digital footprint of their parents using their DNA for clout. That content is not going anywhere. The internet is forever, and these kids are going to have to live in it. It's crazy.